Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. If you haven't subscribed already, do smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and also, if you're a regular, check that you are getting your regular notifications. Check the bell out, go to the bell in the corner and click all for your notifications. You may get personal notifications, all. Now, let's take your history of some of these videos I've done before. Video I did before, I said to Tyson Fury, drop your belts and keep the Ring Magazine belt and defend your title with the WBC belt, the Ring Magazine belt. That's what I said to Tyson Fury. You all laughed at me, and afterwards, what we got now? Tyson running around the linear heavyweight championship of the world, the invisible belt, whatever. But that's what he's running around doing now. Remember, I said it first when I interviewed him when he told me he was going to get stripped by the IBF. That's how long ago that was. So that was a message to the team. I then did a message to Al Haymon more recently on this channel. And the message to Al Haymon was, make the fight between Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder. It's much more money for the undisputed belt than it would be for Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder. Remember I said that? Well, that's what they're pushing for. And you can be sure you can bet your bottom dollar that's what they're going to try and do. Of course, the WBO may have other ideas to scupper that plan, but that's the whole Al Haymon thing there. Now we have the WBC playing games with their franchise belt, which is what I call the documentary belt. That is it, or duck any fighter that poses a significant threat to you and could embarrass you belt. That belt, that franchise belt, which I don't recognize whatsoever. That franchise belt is considered, you can go undisputed with that belt. That belt also is considered, and now you can be cheating. You can have clenbuterol in your system. It doesn't matter, because as long as you with the WBC, anything goes. I remember back in the 90s, they used to call the WBC will be criminals or will be conned. So now it will be Canelo. So I don't know. It's ridiculous. But here's something I want to do. This message is to Uncle Al Haymon. Yeah. It could be the WBC, the Duck a Dangerous Black Fighter Who Could Beat Me belt. Yeah, there's that belt as well. Yeah, that comes under the franchise. One of the categories and one of the criteria in there. Duck a black fighter who may whoop your ass. So make sure that happens. And, keep silly down the river, the greatest things in sliced bread. That, it's apparent. I don't have to go into it. Look it for yourself. But let's skip past that. This message is to Uncle Al. Uncle Al, I know you watch my videos, right? I know you watch my videos, okay? So, Uncle Al, I want to say thank you. But what I want to say is this, Uncle Al. There's a way we can go about this. Do you remember years ago, there was talk about a PBC belt that you were going to do away with in the governing bodies? I believe there should be a PBC belt, right? And I believe PBC fighters should fight among PBC fighters. But I also believe this should be like the World Boxing Super Series, where Uncle Al, I believe that you should have a PBC belt. And that PBC belt is like a pound-for-pound belt. It's like not even a pound-for-pound belt, but it's a belt that's got so much prestige that the best fight the best. The best fight the best. Listen, you've brought us Thurman versus Porter. You've brought us Thurman versus Garcia. Those are 2 fights already. You've brought us good fights as well. And I think if there's some way that all your fighters that you've got and continue to build that stable, the best fighting the best, from the strawweight right up to the heavyweight, the best fighting the best, that I believe is the way forward. Forget all these sanctioning belts. Get rid of the sanctioning belts and have your own PBC belt. The PBC belt. And fans will recognize when the best fight the best, and the PBC fighters only want to fight the best fighters in the world, that they are recognized. They are recognized as the best fighters in the world because they want to fight the best fighters in the world. So if Lomachenko and Canelo and all these other guys that are going to get this franchise belt, get the franchise belt, then people will understand it's known as the ducking belt. The way to enforce that ducking belt is to challenge these guys openly. Challenge them openly. Get them on camera and challenge them. to the fight, right? Get them on camera, challenging for fights. If they don't want to fight, we'll say, right, you know what? We challenge you. We'll set the contract to you. We've given you the opportunity to fight for our PBC belt because we want to fight the best versus the best. And that PBC belt will be recognized as whoever holds that PBC belt is the flagship and the ambassador for fighting the best. So like Pacquiao could have that belt, for example, because he is a legend in the sport and he's fought the best and continues to fight the best, even as old as he is today. That could be it. You could give Deontay Wilder a PBC belt. You know what I mean? For the amount of knockouts he's had and for as long a reigning champion that he is. Do you understand? And we've seen already. Last night we saw two guys who've got no professional record, or no professional record to talk of, no amateur pedigree to talk of, both make 11 million each. Okay? So nobody has to come and tell me, well, the governing bodies, screw the governing bodies. Your PBC belt and the best fight the best. Isn't that what happens in the UFC? The best are fighting the best. And that's why so many people love the UFC, because the best fight the best. You can laugh all you want about WWE, but one thing is guaranteed. Sooner or later, and more sooner than later, the best fight the best. They might be play acting, there might not be real punches, but you know the best are meeting the best. In UFC, the best are playing the best. In football, the best are playing the best. Okay? In rugby, the World Cup, the best play the best. In cricket, the best play the best. So now, PBC in boxing, your number one priority is that the best fight in the world fight the best fighters in the world. The WBS SS, the World Boxing Super Series, is about the best fighting the best. And if we can get a PBC belt that does the same thing, or a belt originating out of the PBC, that would be great. Because I remember they talked about, did you see he refused to wear the WBC belt the other day? Well, that's it. That's what I'm saying to you. And if there's a belt out there, like I remember the Ring Magazine being the belt. That was the belt that people say, if you got a Ring Magazine belt, you would consider D-Man. But now that Oscar De La Hoya's got his hands involved with that stuff, and it's all De La Hoya and the De La Hoya nonsense, that needs to be. That's why I like the whole thing of Al Haymon. Nobody can say Al Haymon said this and Al Haymon said that, because there's no interviews. Al Haymon's like a mystery man. So, Uncle Al, I'm asking and praying that you can, because if the WBC can create a franchise belt, and the WBA can have a silver and gold and global and flipping European title, WBO European title, if that can happen, there is nothing wrong with having a PBC belt with the criteria, the best fight the best. End of conversation. True, in MMA, UFC might not have the monopoly, but they have brought up Pride, Strikeforce, etc. They're the biggest and most prestigious organization. So, Mr. Haymon, take the best of the UFC. I know you're trying with PBC and the idea of PBC, and a lot of people slated it for political reasons mainly. But it would be great that out of all this, you create a belt that brings us back to what boxing is about and makes a shame of the other belts by simply having a ranking system. The only thing that I don't agree with, Al, I'm sorry, Uncle, there's one thing I don't agree with. What you did the other day, where you kind of froze out Terence Crawford, that weren't cool. When they were talking about the top, all the fighters, the champions, that weren't cool. That you may not have done it yourself, but that weren't cool. I understand you don't like what Mr. Bob's doing. I understand Bob's, every time Bob gets a chance, he slates you. I get that, but we know Bob loves Eddie and Eddie loves Bob because they was doing business together. They slate one another, or one slating the other. Next minute they're having dinner together. They set up the next fight. So you know how it goes. But I did, that was not cool, and particularly Terence Crawford as well. You know, that weren't cool. But you have your reasons. But I just went, going forward, you recognize the other champions. You recognize the other champions. Or you don't have to call them champions. You just call them belt holders. Belt holders. There are the guys that hold belts. But this is our champion. We recognize this guy's a champion. You know? And potentially, you could give the PBC belt off to, maybe it doesn't have to be the PBC belt, but it's the belt recognizing the best fight in the world at the time. A guy who don't duck anybody and will fight everybody. That guy. You understand? So that would be interesting to see how that would go about. But I would love to see that, because we're now starting to talk about defining who's the best fighter in the world and the guys that want to fight and champions who want to fight other champions. That's how it should be. Yeah, I saw that. Does it have anything to do with him trying to duck Luis Nery preemptively? Okay. No man defines a sport. Boxing is boxing. Have to recognize everyone. No, you don't have to recognize everyone. That's garbage. You don't have to recognize everybody. I think you don't have to recognize everybody. I think, you know, what's going on with Canelo now, and that can neutral, that means that it can cheat. They can cheat and there'll be no problems in cheating. That has to be pointed out and say, we're not our PBC guys are not fighting you. We're not recognizing that. We're not recognizing that sort of behavior. And we're not going to give you those fights. So you could go and make your fights and have your fights against any other clowns, but you're not touching our fighters. Because unless you're gonna fight our fighters and it's gonna be the best fighting the best, not happening. Not happening. So that's the way I would like to see the people. I don't know how you go about it, Uncle Al, because this is the sport and you know the loopholes and all the rest of it. But please, give us a PBC belt. One that the fans can say, this was the moment. This was the turning point in boxing that brought it back to what it was about. The best, fighting the best. The World Boxing Super Series helps us and has given us a guideline. But unfortunately, there's some people that don't get involved in that tournament. If anyone can, Uncle Al, I believe you can. Isn't that more harmful for their own, in Canelo case, forcing drug testing? Yeah, everyone should be drug tested. Everyone should be drug tested. Do you understand? Everyone should be drug tested. And, you know, stringently tested. PBC fight is stringently tested. Do you understand? It is stringent and it's above the board. Stringently tested. We need to bring the sport back to what it was, or as much close as possible. Because people respect the sport more for it. So why not recognize Canelo? Listen. You want to recognize Canelo because you've got political agenda. That's why you want to recognize Canelo and the BS that the WBC are doing. I'll recognize Canelo. Why doesn't he fight the rest of the guys in the middleweight division? He's got Andrade. He's got Charlo. Why don't he fight them guys? He's got Billy Joe Saunders. I'll recognize him when he fights those guys. I'll recognize him when he fights those guys to be the best middleweight in the world. I'll recognize him when he fights those guys. That's when I'll recognize him. Yeah, I brought him as a guy not to recognize and giving the reason why I don't recognize him. I'm giving a reason why I don't recognize him. He's an event. Yes, he's an event, but he's got that WBC franchise belt, which means he's allowed to duck and dive and do what he wants to do. And for that, I can't recognize him for that. I'm sorry. And plus the blue trill thing already, you're basically allowing a guy to cheat. He's Mexican, right? And that new blue trill rule comes out. Come on. So, yeah, I recognize him for his achievements. I'm not knocking his achievements. But you've got to question his achievements now. Going up to light heavyweight. Fighting at super middleweight. Knocking a man out that's maybe, I don't know. So that whole Wilder is the man of boxing, really, anyway. Well, Wilder's a man that, you know, needs to be recognised. Definitely needs to be recognised. Him fighting Luis Ortiz is only going to please a certain crowd of people, and it'll please those people that said, "Oh well, in the first fight." But then they'll try and say Luis Ortiz was an old man anyway. Wait until the fight's over. Wilder knocks him out. The same old people will turn and say, "We want to see the fight." The people after turn and say that it was an old man he was fighting, We'll probably find out the real age of Luis Ortiz when this fight is over. Wait and see. So, you know, I just think we need to bring it back to the basics. Let the racists and the narrow-minded and the elites move to one side. Let them do their elitist stuff, and let's build our own. Let's build our own. Let's build our own. Let's build our own. Build our own. And what I mean by build our own, let the elitists do their own thing. Let them get on with it. But build our own. Build our own. And it is based on what boxing is about. The best fighting the best. Fair rules. Fair judging. Fair refereeing. Let's do that. Then when you know you're watching a pay-per-view on PBC, you know you're getting fair judges, fair referee, fair weigh-ins, fair weigh-ins. Make sure people are hydrated. Same-day weigh-ins. Let's take it back. Same-day weigh-ins. Do you understand? Stringent drug testing. So all the things the other jokers are getting away with doing, make sure the PBC fighters and the PBC way is the way. That's how it would work. Hopefully this works, but I think sanctioning bodies still have too much away, and the big money fights will be for sanctioning belts. No, if you don't regard the sanctioning belts and you just see them as belt holders, if you take that away, so you know what, we ain't paying no more sanctioning fees to you anymore. We're not paying no sanctioning fees to you anymore. Do you know what I mean? We'll do our business with the various casinos and stuff, so you'll get more percentage because we're cutting the belts out. We're cutting the belts out. We'll work more with the casinos. We'll still work with television companies. You'll get more money from this. No sanctioning bodies. We're not paying the sanctioning bodies. We are the sanctioning body. We are the governing body for boxing now, because here's our rules and here's our regulations. A lot of fighters may like that and say, you know what, I'm getting protected now. I know if I fight under this banner, I'm going to get a fair shake. And under this banner, I'm going to get a good referee. And under this banner, you know, I'm going to get to weigh in the same day. And now under this banner, ain't got no shenanigans going on, because I'm under a banner that's about the best fighting, the best with the best of everything incorporated with it. In essence, it's a good idea, but creating another belt will just cause even more confusion and politics. There's too many. So that's what we're saying. We're not acknowledging them belts. Them belts are belt holders. We don't care about that. It's okay for them to bring in the WBC franchise belt because the fans are accepting that. Okay? I'm just waiting for a TV belt, the TV champion. I'm just waiting for that. Very hard. No, it's not. It's not very hard to create a belt without politics. You want to bring the sport back to what it is. This belt is outlining what it's about. There's no outline for the WBC franchise belt. What are you talking about? The WBC franchise belt has got no outline as to how you be champion. How you become champion? Does anyone know how you become champion? How can you be a champion when you get beat? You still got your belt. That's the franchise belt. That's the franchise belt they've got out there at the moment. So that doesn't work. That can't work. So how can it be political to have a situation like that? Instead, you create your new belt. Your new belt and your basis of your belt is these. This is the reason. The best are fighting the best. We're going to have the best judges, the best referees. We're going to have weigh-ins on the same day. We're going to do things the way it should be done. One champion, the old school way. Business is business, but we're going to ensure that our business is right and correct and on the up. That's how we'll go about it. That's the way we have to go about it. We cannot go about it any other way, because we've seen the other ways and it all ends up crooked and corrupt. So let's see here. Very hard to create belt. Even the mafia weren't this bad in the 50s and 60s. This may be a little idealistic. Really? The WBC have got a franchise belt. And if I told you what the WBC were doing before they released the belt, you would say it was idealistic. Now they've got the WBC out there and it's a franchise belt. You're saying it's idealistic. How the hell can it be idealistic? It's happening. The IBO belt's out there. The WBF title's out there. The WBU championship there. Right? You've got a WBA champion and you've got a WBA super champion. What are you talking about? It's idealistic. It's not idealistic. It's just bringing things back to where it should be. But because the standards are so damn low in the sport, you're talking about this nonsense about idealistic. It's not idealistic. It's how it should be. Proper weigh-ins, proper referees, proper judging. That's what we want in the sport, right? How can it be idealistic? Get out of the way. Let's make it the sport how it should be. At least try to get it there. But to lower the standards and allow this franchise belt to come along and a guy have a belt, and even when he gets beat, he's still got a belt. What kind of nonsense is that? That's not even fair. I spoke to Mauricio Suleiman on Twitter about excessive belts, how they dilute, devalue, and the real tie. He said the other belts are just to commemorate things. Oh, Lord. I don't think it will be as revolutionary as you're saying. Well, you don't think much. You only think that Canelo is the best fighter since sliced bread. He was better than Mayweather if they fought now, and he could go fight heavyweight. Man, just move your ass out of the way. Move your ass out of the way. Credit to Wilder for trying to centralize power into one belt. Even saying franchise belt would be nothing to him. Well, on the point of that, and I'm going to close this off now, and the last point I'm going to say, Wilder's saying about him not wanting to accept the belt, they want to give him the belt in the first place. He knows he's not going to get that belt. He knows he won't get that belt. So I can talk that way too. I can say, well, you know what? I don't want that belt. I don't want that belt. Well, you ain't going to get the belt, bro. You ain't going to get the belt because we know why you ain't going to get the belt. So it's easy to not recognize something when you ain't going to get it anyway. Sorry. We just don't recognize until the franchise holder becomes irrelevant. If Canelo loses twice, he'll be the franchise, but we won't care. That's what I'm saying to you. Standards are low. But this time generally is dismissive about his time generally is dismissive about multiple bodies. Forget all these bodies and belts. One belt, the PBC belt. It doesn't have to be the PBC belt, but we know Al Haymon's got the power to do it, and he's got the sense to do it too. Do you know what I mean? He's got the sense to do it. He's got the money to do it. He'll get the backing to do it. It can happen. And by doing that, what you're basically saying is the best fight the best. And if anyone's going to sit in this room now and argue with me on the point of having proper judging, proper refereeing, same-day weigh-ins to make the sport safer, and the best fighting the best, if you're going to sit down and argue with me with that, you know what? You can go with your franchise belt and exit with them. Because what we want is to have the sport. We talked about having some sort of overall governing body. This is the way forward to making it happen. We disregard and just pay no attention to these current franchise champions and sideline champions and TV champions and really get back to basics. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. The sport, the respect to the sport. How will Canelo lose when he has free reign to cherry pick opponents that suit his style and he has judges in the pocket? Hamza, he fought a modern day super middleweight great in Rocky Fielding. This is theoretical. If the franchise loses twice, say Lomachenko, then cause it's a little more realistic politically. We won't care if he has fans, his franchise. Listen. I can't believe you even sit in a room. That just shows you the mindset of certain boxing fans, that they're actually accepting a franchise belt. I cannot recognize a belt. How can a man be a champion, get beat, get knocked out, and still have his belt? In the world of Mauricio Suleiman, that can happen. That's not boxing. That's like when you play your PlayStation and the game's not going well on you, you turn your PlayStation off, you still keep your belt, and you turn the TV back on again, you put your PlayStation on, and from the save button, you continue playing from there. That don't work. Yeah, thank you so much for timing that, by the way. Watch it got overturned after TKO. Like how Don King got WBC in his pocket and they protected Chavez Jr. I like how WBS and Sauerland creates a clear winner and picks the best versus the best. There, you've got it right there. Now, the WBSS, the reason why the boxing fans in the world like it is because it truly is the best against the best. That's how it should be. You've got to step it up, bro. You're getting annoying. Of course, people see it annoying. That's why we get them out of the way. So that's it. I have to go now. But just have a think about it. An opportunity for you to have the best fight, the best on a regular basis with proper judging. Just think a second. Just for a second, if we had these rules in place, apart from Joshua losing that night, Katie Taylor would have lost that fight. So the proper person would have had those belts that night. Who else would have won? Who else fought that night? Ray Robinson would have beaten Josh Kelly that night. All right. How many other fights? Ricky Burns, who fought Lee Selby the other night, would have won that fight. If Batubiev KOs Canelo, Hamza, the judge will say he's still alive and still, of course. So, right, I'm going to get out of here. People, much love to you all. This debate will rage on. I hope that Uncle Al, I know that you watch my videos, and I hope that you do create a PBC belt to clean up the toxicity we've got in the sport of boxing and bring it back to the sport the way it should be. And by doing this, and by setting such a high standard, or at least attempting to set a high standard, these jokers that are getting pay-per-view for blatantly robbing the public. How you can sit at home, watch a fight, a man outbox a man for 12 rounds, and still the guy that got outboxed win a 12-round decision because he's the A side or because he's the promoter's favorite cash cow. That's nonsense. That's corruption right there. And you see the corruption week in, week out, and do nothing about it. But moan and complain. But the same thing happens the next fight you tune in. We're joking about this, but something like that is not inconceivable. It happens when Savage is multiple champs. WBC protected him. There we go. So there we go. And we now know that Jack Reese is part of the protection policy. If you have Jack Reese and you get knocked down in a fight, don't worry. Jack will either give you a slow count or he will do something to slow the time down so you can get your feet beneath you. I know, couldn't write it crazy. Katie Taylor versus Delphine Pearson. Yes, I feel so sorry for Delphine. She should be champion today. Blasted Katie Taylor. I'm out of here. Thank you so much. Much love to you all as always. Rate, subscribe. Continue to show the love. You know how it goes on this channel. You know how it goes already. We try and speak our truth and try and be honest. And try to cut through all the BS that's in the sport. Smash the like button as always. See you soon. Much love. Take care.